Hey everyone. It probably will not surprise anyone to know that coming up with something to say at the start of every one of these episodes is actually a remarkably difficult task. So this time I thought I just wouldn't even try, and instead I've just chosen to wear this Ready Player One Gun to Life t-shirt, which personally I feel is basically the same as having a punchline. The first thing painted in September was a Necron destroyer from late 2nd edition. This chap, along with the other Necrons I painted over the last few months, was in the Necron model retrospective over on the main channel a few days ago. I really like the model despite it looking like he's riding in a heavily armed lazy boy, although it was a bit of a pain to assemble as many of the parts don't quite sit level, some by design and some not so. Plus I had to make a new base for it since A, it didn't come with one when I got it, and B, it's metal, so I didn't really want to put it on a regular flying base that would only snap the moment I put the slightest amount of pressure on it. In the end I pinned it onto a plastic rod that should be vastly more secure. Still, it was pretty pleasant to paint, it is mostly one colour after all, and I was particularly pleased by how the green on the gun came out. One day I do hope to procure the rest of this particular Necron line since there's only 12 minis in it in total and I already have 6 of them. Just a pity the Immortals and Lord are probably going to be a real pain to track down. But oh well, that's just collecting old minis I suppose. The next 5 things are my last batch of Wraithguard from that Apocalypse box. Nothing really different from the previous ones, so I won't spend too much time dwelling on them. Plus, you've seen what is fundamentally the same thing in the last 2 videos anyway. I only have 1 mini left to paint from that box, which is the second Wraith Lord, and that's one of the next things on my to-do list. Hell, I only actually have 1 other Eldar model to paint after that, so I am dangerously close to having an army that is 100% painted. Don't worry, that probably won't last long. I have a handful of things left to buy for them to bring them up to 2,000 points, but you know, let me have this for now. The last thing in September was a pretty big one that I hinted at last month. This is a Blood Angels Leviathan dreadnought from Forge World. He is my beautiful big baby boy. Seriously, between buying and painting this, Leviathans have become one of my favourite models, and definitely my favourite dreadnoughts. I just love how they combine the design sensibilities of the Contemptor with the more general heft of the standard Dread. Although, amusingly, the only other Dread I have in this army is a Rogue Trader one, so it makes the Leviathan look even bigger. It was also surprisingly pleasant to assemble. Forge World kits are sometimes a bit of a pain to put together, but this one was honestly nicer than most of the mainline Eldar I've been putting together recently. Hell, even magnetising it was laughably simple. I just had to chop off a tab and then throw the magnets in. Not that I have any other weapons to swap out for right now, they're very expensive and the Gravflux Bombards were just too fun not to have 2 of them, but I would like to pick up some of the other weapons eventually, plus this just makes it slightly easier to transport. As regards the painting, it's just the standard things I've been putting on my Space Marines, and it is fun to see this model not in red for a change. Actually, speaking of that, since this video is looking at being kinda short, I thought I'd throw in a little bit of lore for my chapter since a few people have asked that I go into it. So if you missed the previous episodes, my Blood Angel successors are the Argent Wardens, and interestingly they have a smaller than average amount of Marines in their death company for a Blood Angel successor. Although this wasn't always the case, shortly after the chapter's founding it was nearly destroyed due to many falling to the Black Rage. Chapter legends say that it was only by the guidance and teachings of their chaplains that they survived. This is why to this day they have a particularly high number of chaplains in the chapter, which they of course believe is the reason for the low amount of death company. And indeed the chapter's name itself honours those who shepherded them through those early dark days, what with Wardens being the name for the precursors to chaplains in the Blood Angels before the heresy. Don't ask me what their name was before they became the Argent Wardens, because I haven't decided that yet. God, I should probably do a video, like, explaining how this backstory all came together, because it's all just written around whatever models I happened to collect early on, and just to explain the quirks of what I had. Leave that with me. But anyway, that was what I painted in September. I would have liked to have done a bit more, but we did end up going on holiday for a week, so I didn't have quite as much time to paint as I'd like. By the end of September, my 2019 total was up to 51 minis painted against 46 minis bought. So I'm just 1 away from the goal of painting the equivalent of 1 a week for a year, and once again I'm in the green for having painted more models than I've bought. I'm currently putting the finishing touches to the 52nd model, and I think you'll agree when you see it that it is a fitting model to hit my goal with. So with that, I shall bid you good day for another month. Stay fresh, cheese bags.